How about it, y'all? You got Hawg. Thanks for stopping by. So we're gonna continue our Diablo 4 review reaction series, and we did Rex yesterday, and so now we're gonna do Asmongold today. Let's hear what he's got to say, what his honest feedback was about the beta. I am dying to hear what he's got to say. Um, Only stuff that I've heard so far were kind of negative, comparing it to Diablo Immortal and the kind of clickbaity thumbnails, which I try not to form an opinion based on thumbnails. So this will be fresh. Let's see what he's got to say. I am just dying to hear it.
Diablo 4.
Yes,
Everybody's been
sir.
playing it, everybody's been talking about it. Today, I'm going to talk about it. I've played the beta now for a few days. I've looked into the game. I've gotten two characters to the max level, and I've no-lifed at least one of them to where they have pretty much full legendary gear that's almost completely upgraded too.
Hmm.
So I wanted to get my thoughts on,
Only
in
two, bro?
general, the
Come on,
first
tighten up.
impressions of the game, and just talk about Diablo 4. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, I used to be a huge fan of Diablo 3. I was like the guy, like I bought the game by, actually that's not true. I signed my dad up for the WoW annual pass.
Huh?
That actually caused a problem with him changing his credit card that he got really mad at me for, and the annual pass included Diablo 3. So that's how I actually got Diablo 3. But anyway, so I got Diablo 3. I played it all night long, and I got to 60. I killed Inferno Diablo. I even killed Hardcore Inferno Diablo, way after Creparium, by the way. It's not as impressive as you'd think. But anyway, I did all that stuff. I got the Paragon 100. I absolutely loved Diablo 3. I had so much fun playing the game. And then Reaper of Souls came out, and I actually had a lot less fun. And so I moved away. I stopped playing Diablo 3 for a very long period of time, played a lot of Path of Exile, did a couple of other ARPGs, learned the error of my ways, went back to Path of Exile, and now I'm playing Diablo 4.
Okay, so this review is gonna be. We all know Asmon's a WoW player, okay, and that's an MMO. You know, I understand. But he plays Path to Exile as well. So this is going to be from the viewpoint of somebody that really plays WoW and plays Path to Exile, which will be interesting to see his viewpoint on it. It's been a long time since he's played Diablo 3. So his takes on stuff from Diablo 3 are ancient history. The game was launched 10 years ago. I actually pre-ordered a copy. I built a brand new PC to be able to play Diablo 3. I installed it and played it the day it came out. We actually went to GameStop and got it. That's how old it was. Um, we went to Micro Center, then we went to GameStop, and then we seriously like South Park World of Warcraft style episode. We had three PCs set up, and we were all in the game. So I understand where he's coming from there, but the game is completely different now. So some of his takes from Diablo 3 may be way in the past to where it doesn't really line up with the Diablo 3 that we're used to as of today.
So, where does the game rank compared to other ARPGs? Is it as complex as Path of Exile? I think the answer to that is no, and I think that is an intentional no. I don't think that it should be as complex as as Path of Exile. Diablo 4 is in general.
Y'all, when I first heard about Path to Exile and I downloaded it, this man ain't lying. It blew my socks off. I mean, I was like, dadgum, how do I even play this game? I was so overwhelmed with all of the different stuff. So I want it to be complicated to a certain extent, but I don't want it to blow you away to where you don't want to play the game. So yeah, I agree.
A much more simplified version of PoE. Like, for example, whenever you were playing a Necromancer in PoE, if you want to change from carrion golems to skeletons, you've got to completely, reorient 17 different skill gems, 3 different talent choices, your ascendancy, and then also your enchants on your gear, and then, like, your corruptions and, like, all kinds of other stuff, right? But with Diablo, there's a button that says, I thought that was a wasp, it was just one of those stupid things, and, there's a button that says, like zombies or skeletons, and you just go click, and that it's done. So, how much longevity is that going to have?
Okay, hold on. No, it's a little bit more complicated. You can't just Skeletons are automatic, but your other stuff you actually have to unlock the tree towards. So it's not just click.
I don't know. I think that's one of my biggest concerns with Diablo 4
Maybe I'm
really is that
misunderstanding him.
the game has like a surprising amount of simplicity to it. And I do understand the silliness in saying that to an extent because the beta only goes up to level 25. However, I've played Diablo 3 before, many, many times, thousands of hours, and I don't really see a lot of complexity in that game either. I don't really see a whole lot of new systems happening in Diablo 4 that's going to be transformative to that in a way that's different for players.
Okay, so let's think about the new systems that we have in Diablo 4. Okay? We have the occultist, which you extract aspects off of legendary items. Okay? We have the apothecary, which lets you craft elixirs with materials like that you found throughout the world, like flowers, stems, stuff like that. Okay? We have new added crafting materials that you need to upgrade items with. We have a stronghold system in Diablo 4, which converts to various things depending on which stronghold is. It could convert to a town, it could convert to a dungeon, whatever. Okay. We have the ultimate, I always call them ultimates. Is that what they're called? The uniques. That's what they are. We got the unique drops we hadn't even seen yet. We got the key system, which we've never seen, the whispering keys that you have to get to unlock the chests, which are also going to have to be upgraded to unlock nightmare dungeons and stuff like that. Okay, we have the unique player systems for each character. So you've got druid, you've got they've got the animal spirits, the barbarian's got the weapon masteries, the sorceress has the 2 extra passive slots she can take from any skill. The rogue has their special thing. I forget what it is. Don't flame me too hard. Oh, we also got the Codex of Power. That's a new system that we've never seen before. It's open world. That's a new system that we've never seen before. The journal with all the side quests and the renown system. Never seen that before. So that's 10 right there. That's 10 new systems in Diablo 4 that we've never seen.
Like, I think that you're obviously going to have people that are, they're going to play it and theory craft it, etc. But like, how deep does that?
Oh, not to mention the Paragon board that's extremely crazy. So that's another system we've never seen before that you can actually, I don't know. So this is, if y'all haven't watched the developer live stream update from a month ago and the one from 3 months ago, I highly recommend you do that. It will explain a lot about the questions that you're having instead of relying on people like us, different content creators, to tell you. Um, but the Paragon map, you can actually like turn it and rotate it to access certain things. Like I think there's going to be a fairly high level of complexity with the Paragon. I think that we're not even understanding that part of the game yet because we've only played Act 1.
Recraft go. And I think there's a very interesting middle ground that I'm not sure if Diablo 4 is going to be able to really capitalize on, which is the middle ground that it is complex enough for it to be fulfilling for people to overcome the complexities, but simultaneously not as complex as PoE to the point to where it is just completely impenetrable for a new person. Any new person coming into Path of Exile, I tell them follow your build guide down to a T, deviate a couple of times, realize the error of your ways, then go back.
He ain't man, that's crazy. I lasted like 3 days.
Understand. So Diablo 4, I think that really has to hit that sweet spot in between boring levels of just repetitive gameplay that's mindless and effortless with no real investment put into it, and then also not simultaneously be too complex to where people don't understand it like PoE. And I do think that complexity is not necessarily always a good thing. There's a lot of people online that, well, the more complex game and the harder game is always the better game. Not necessarily.
Yeah, I agree.
Broad correlation, and it's an ironic correlation, but I think it's very true, between two old games, Diablo 2 and Gauntlet. How many of you guys played Gauntlet Legend?
I didn't play Gauntlet, but I'll tell you something right now. I played Shadows of Mordor on Xbox, and I don't know if I just suck at video games or whatever, but that game was so goddamn hard. I'm talking about holy shit, y'all. I tried it for a day and a half, and I quit playing it, and I never played it again. And this is when the game first came out, so it might be different. There might be updates to it or whatever, but so I don't know about Gauntlet like he's talking about, but God almighty knows, man, that game was so damn hard. I just quit playing it. So we can't have the game. I agree. We can't have the game too hard to where people don't want to play the game because that will kill the game. We want everybody to play the game, have a healthy, happy medium. So yeah.
You played Gauntlet over on the old arcade machine. You know, Red Wizard shot the food. That was me, by the way. And
Play
you just
Gauntlet.
kind
I
of did
never
all that
heard of
kind of
Gauntlet.
stuff. You love Gauntlet. You played maybe Gauntlet. You played Diablo 2. I didn't play Diablo 2, and Gauntlet was a great game. In my mind, I think that Diablo 4 should be Gauntlet, and Path of Exile can be D2. There's nothing wrong with being a simpler, easier to understand, more accessible version of a type of game. And I really hope that's what Diablo 4 can do. And I would say, like, if I had to rate the game, I think people always want me to,
Let's
rate
hear
the
it. What's it
game.
gonna be?
Is it a 5? Is it a 7? Is it a 10? I would rate Diablo 4, the beta experience, I would rate it probably like an 8.5.
Oh
I
shit!
don't really feel comfortable saying 9.
Damn! Asmon just rated this an 8.5 out of 10? Damn, boy, I'm shocked. I thought he was gonna rate it like a 4. I'm tickled pink. That's awesome.
I don't feel comfortable saying 8 either, so I'm feeling somewhere around 8.5.
That's fair.
I don't think it's incredible. It's not changing my life. It's not innovative to the point to where it completely, reorients my thinking on the ARPG genre. However, it's very good at doing what it does. And
I'm just gonna tell y'all, I don't need it to be industry changing or redefining the genre. I don't crave that. I just crave a new badass Diablo 4 game, honestly. Like, I don't crave massive, crazy changes that no one's ever seen before. Like, throw some new things at us, that'll be cool. But I don't really care if it's industry changing. I mean, I feel like almost everything's been done nowadays. I mean, 20 years ago it was industry changing. They did that already. They created the genre. So let's just get another good addition to the game. It doesn't have to be that.
And I think that that's what I want to talk about next, is that the actual gameplay, the combat, the questing, etc. I think the idea of having the less, Blizzard is known all the time for their cinematics, especially back in the day, whenever they were just head and shoulders above everybody else. A lot of other brands have caught up nowadays, but back in the day, Blizzard cinematics were the fucking
top notch. Hell yeah.
So a lot of the Diablo 4 cinematics are not that amazing. Like, they're not that great. But what they are is that they do show your character in the cutscene in a way that is actually pretty fucking good. And I like that. It sounds stupid, but I think I do. And
did he just say the cutscenes were not amazing?
A lot of the Diablo 4 cinematics are not that amazing. Like,
huh? So that cut that. Okay, we'll just agree to disagree. I think they're pretty damn amazing. I don't know. We've only seen a couple of them, but
they're not that great. But what they are is that they do show your character in the cutscene in a way that is actually pretty fucking good. And I like that. It sounds stupid, but I think I do. And that higher quality of cutscene, I hope they have a couple of them, of course. But it's not necessary for every single end of the act or anything like that. And I've actually really enjoyed just going through the game and seeing more cutscenes, even though they're a little bit lower quality. And I think the overall story of the game, this is, again, Act 1 story. I really liked the story until you got into, like, the main town and you started doing stuff. I like the idea of being that lone, grungy adventurer that smells like fucking, like, horse shit.
So, talking about that, we always talk about in my Discord, which, by the way, if y'all need a badass community, we ain't mile, we wild over there in my Discord. The link is in the description below for the House of Hawg, but we always joke around with the Necro players, like, you reckon she's, like, if you're playing a woman, you reckon she smells like dead bodies? Or do you think she smells like a funeral parlor or something, like flowers everywhere and all that, So, yeah, that's how we feel too, brother. Your character either smells like dead bodies or blood or roses.
Case, and you're in this village, and then they try to kill you and sacrifice you to a demon, and then you kill them, I felt like that it scaled up quite quickly in terms of the complexities of the game and the scale of the game in terms of the narrative. And I did not really prefer that as much. If I had to say, I'd say that I like the story in Act 1 Diablo 3 more than I like the story in Act 1 Diablo 4.
Bro, they killed Deckard Cain. What do you mean? No, they killed our hero, the last of the Herodrum. Yeah, Diablo 3 story, I did enjoy it. I don't know if it's better per se, but I feel like Diablo 4 story, at least for what we got to play so far, was a little bit shorter than the Diablo 3. Let me know in the comments what you think. You think Diablo 3 was longer than Diablo 4's beginning story? But I think the cutscenes were awesome. The nice thing is you can skip them. Besides the little glitch that we were having, they'll have that fixed. So that is a nice thing. You can at least enjoy the cinematics, or you can just skip them, and because we'll want to skip them after a while, we'll get used to them. But I did think there was a little bit excessive use in them, just a little bit. Nothing to complain about. I'm just used to there being a cutscene or cinematic every act change, really. But that's really nothing to even talk about.
But I think that both of them are fine. They're passable. They still fit that that notch of like it's kind of like this. It's like Pulp Fiction type stuff where it's not this super complex, very like hard to understand characters. No, not really. It's just these are the bad guys, these are the good guys, and they're demons, and there's like a few plot twists, but that's about it. I think that's what Diablo is supposed to be. It's not full of nuances like Game of Thrones or something, and I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the combat. Anyway, story is good. Voice acting, incredible. Great job with voice acting. All of the kind of like, if you were to think of, think about like old Game Informer or like Nintendo Power Reviews where it says like graphics, voice acting, story.
Yep.
Like, all of those numbers,
Old
I think
school.
for Diablo would be a 10, pretty much, at least a 9.
Damn.
Diablo 4.
And see, that's how I'm used to rating a game. When I want to do a review or when I think about giving feedback about a game or something, like besides technical glitches, which is why they have a beta to try to fix that kind of stuff, what I'm looking at is old school how they reviewed it, just like you said. Gameplay, graphics, sound quality, experience, mechanics, all of that. That's how I look at a game. I don't care so much as quality of life stuff. Because I'm from the old school. I'm used to buying a big box PC game and taking it home and taking an hour and a half to install it with like 12 3.5-inch floppy disks. So when you bought a game, it either sucked or it was badass. You didn't really get. I think we're spoiled now to where we get these. We get to bitch about it, and they update the game to how we like it. So I don't know. I guess old habits die hard, but that's just the way that I tend to look at the games, and try not to be too critical about. I can't do a keybind to something. Like you just have to adapt and overcome.
Absolutely. I think they're very well put together. So, combat. Let's talk a little bit about combat. I think combat is good. Combat is
Definitely.
always something that Diablo 3 was great at, and I think that it was pretty decent in Diablo Immortal whenever you weren't lagging through things. So, I expected combat to be good, and I was proven right. I'm very happy about the combat. I think it's fun, and it's pretty enjoyable overall. The itemization and actually, before we talk about itemization, let's talk about bosses. I'm going to be real. So I played a barbarian, the first character, and I understand people tell me, oh, well, if you play another version of the barbarian, it's going to be super fun. Like, you're just playing a bad build. Yeah, maybe, but like, bro, I'm going to keep it real. Like, it's not fun chasing mobs that are programmed to run away from you the whole time. It's just not. Like, am I a bad barbarian? Am I a fake barbarian? Maybe I am. I played an Archon Wizard in Diablo 3, so...
Bro, that's how long it's been since he's played Diablo 3, since he was playing Archon Wizard. Oh, so he might be a little rusty. I mean, we got to be fair on our boy here. He's talking about Archon Wizard.
After I played Sorcerer, I'm probably going to play a sorcerer whenever the game comes out.
Yeah, so I'm not a barbarian player. I've never been a barbarian player. I played Z-Barb a little bit last season in Diablo 3, but um, it's just not. I'm a range class player. I like to play casters, and that's just what I'm used to playing. And if you're used to playing a caster and going to a melee character, it's just a whole different world. It's way different than you're used to. And the barbarian thing, we had a clan member of mine that was hitting for 15K. It was the most unbelievable thing that I have seen. He was wiping the area. I mean, just wiping that ass. And so there are people that say the barb is trash. There are also people that say the druid's trash. And it's just all about your game experience that you had.
And maybe that's just that's a me situation, but I really didn't like how annoying a lot of the fights were as melee, and I felt like, you're fighting a mob and he's standing inside of a pool that you're supposed to move out of. It's just annoying and like obnoxious to play against. But I mean, again, that could just be a me problem. I'm not
It is,
sure. But
brother. I'm
as a
sorry.
melee player who then played ranged after that, I certainly enjoyed ranged a lot more.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day,
You're a ranged player.
I had more fun as ranged.
Yeah.
So anyway, combat I think was great. Bosses were really kind of hit or miss. I think that, again, this is Act 1. So like I'm not expecting some like massive insane level of complexity with bosses. Like I'm not expecting, Vaulton Gate 2. I'm not expecting Uber Elder. So guess what? The boss.
So he's talking about, I don't know what those are. An Uber Elder, like those are things that aren't in a Diablo game. We don't have elders and whatever else he was just talking about. So it's hard to compare that. But yeah, he's talking about, I guess, in boss stuff and in game stuff. The world boss, I mean, the world boss had a lot of health and a lot of armor, and he was devastating until you could actually be a tanky character. He bit you and all kind of stuff. So to me, it felt like typical Diablo 4 bosses. I didn't expect anything more, and they didn't deliver anything more. It was exactly what I expected it to be in that game. And so some of this stuff, like I said earlier, some of this stuff is going to be what he sees through the eyes of a WoW player or a Path to Exile player. And it's just, I don't know if this is meant to be exactly that. So
Bosses are pretty simple. They're relatively well put together, and I think that they were fine. Going and doing the side quests and the open world nature of the game. Sorry about the plane. The open world nature of the game, I actually think flowed really well, and I enjoyed it a lot. The only concern that I have with the open world nature of the game is that there's a lot of like collection type stuff. For example, like you have to get a bunch of different like waypoints. Think about like the Lost Ark Adventurer's Journal if you played that game, and there's like a list of like little chores that you have to do around the world. Click all the statues, open up all the portals, do all the quests.
So I didn't play Lost Ark, but I did play a lot of Rockstar games. GTA's that way, the open world style, where you have to go collect different things or do side quests or whatever. If you played Rockstar games, Red Dead Redemption 2 was that way, Red Dead Redemption 1 was that way. It's basically just a staple of an open world style game, I feel like. I feel like we would complain if it wasn't there as an open world experience. If that wasn't there, then we would be like, there's nothing to do. There's no time killers while we're waiting on a world boss. There's no extra content, so I feel like the world would be lacking without that extra stuff to play with, in the open world. I feel like that's just part of it.
I will love to do that one time. But if I have to do that every fucking season, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you that at a certain point, it will be one of the biggest reasons why I don't play a new Diablo 4 season.
Absolutely.
I don't find it to be fun to repeat the same, clicking on the same statues. Or even if they randomize their locations, I still don't find it fun. It's fucking boring. It's something you do whenever the game's new and you just want to explore the game. But after you've done that a couple of times, you've kind of, that has worn off its excitement.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I do hope that they change that and they don't make you repeat it.
Now, knowing the nature of a Diablo game, they will probably make some of that be seasonal. Dadgum, they flying the military over the house? I don't know if it'll be the whole thing. I really hope they don't put it in there, but knowing how they do and they make you grind, I wouldn't be surprised if they added some extra stuff in there, that you had to get. Maybe not all of it, but some of it in this certain act, and then you had to get certain things over here in this zone or whatever.
activities like that so much. And
Knowing
now that we're
Blizzard, that
talking
is.
about seasons, I guess we'll talk a little bit more about itemization and how complex those items are going to be. So it seems like with Diablo 4, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be doing a combination of having rares that are, like 5 affix rares, and then you can put legendary powers onto them. It seems like that will probably be the meta, unless the legendary power is like extremely powerful in terms of like a binary functionality. Then you would probably want to have the solid legendary, because transferring the powers, I think, makes them weaker in some cases. But anyway, the itemization I think is okay, but I don't really find it to be particularly interesting. And maybe this is just me, but a lot of the different bonuses that I got, I never really got this bonus and was like, wow, this is fucking amazing. I'm doing so much more damage.
Okay, couple things to touch on. The first thing there is when you extract an aspect, it does lower it a little bit, but you can actually gain 100% power by putting it on a two-hand weapon, or 50% power by putting it on an amulet. So that's that for that little touching on that little aspect. The item system we have just touched the surface of. I have yet to hear of a content creator that I've come across talk about uniques. Everybody has forgotten that we haven't even accessed the unique weapons. All we've gotten to do is kind of Mickey Mouse around with aspects to learn aspects and legendaries. They've increased the drop rate for the beta, so we got to play around with that, and that's it. We haven't crafted a unique. We haven't built the Paragon tree. We haven't done rune words. I highly encourage y'all to watch the developer live stream. They were talking about rune words and what that could possibly look like. There's a lot we haven't even seen. My buddy Eros over at Eros Gaming, please go check out his channel. He's got some good content over there. He played the closed beta and found some uniques, and yeah, no one's talking about uniques. So the other thing he's talking about is not finding an item that made you go wow when you found it. I was farming the 35 boss, level 35 boss, and we came upon a druid in the world, and he hit that damn world boss one time, and it dropped his health 50%. And so I viewed him and seen that he had an item I didn't have. Well, that item granted Pulverize, which is your werebear skill that you're going to use your core skill, Pulverize 250% damage, and it turned it into a shockwave that traveled forward. So I needed that. I didn't have it. Once I found it, I was ecstatic because it was able to stack on top of my other aspect that I had that made Pulverize an earth skill and shot pylons out of the ground, and boosted it up 175% damage. So that stacked with the other thing and just made me absolutely do damage finally. So I did have a moment like that. Again, I think it's more player experience of what you had on the beta. But that's why I like to point things out like this, because I mean, Asmon has 1.8 million subs. Okay, he has a huge following, and this is kind of the issue that I have with um, sharing stuff that's not 100% accurate, because you have 1.2 million viewers that have seen this. And so now 1.2 million of them think, oh man, my boy Asmon here, he says the items are simplistic and there's not going to be much to it. So that's what it is. When in reality is we've only done Act 1 and we hadn't even unlocked the in-game items, rune words, any of that other stuff that they're planning on doing, nor have we unlocked the advanced level skills, nor have we unlocked the Paragon system or the Codex of Power or any of that other stuff that's not being mentioned. So people can already get a sour taste in their mouth and they hadn't even played the full game yet. So it's a fine line that you got to be careful about, which is why I've been kind of doing these videos, just to kind of give somebody else, even though I have nowhere near the reach that Asmon has, but at least it's an effort to say, hey, don't forget about uniques, don't forget about this. And it's not that I'm trying to attack anybody, it's just that I'm an animated guy and I'm larger than life, so that's just the way that comes off. Some of y'all get a little sensitive about this stuff. I'm not trying to be angry or anything. But we do need to remember that just because at 25 doesn't mean the items are simplistic. We haven't even unlocked the in-game items at this point yet.
I just was like, okay, cool. Now I have this and my abilities do more damage. And I think, again, this is very much probably an issue of the beta. But I do remember back in Diablo 3, and I think a lot of you guys who have played Path of Exile or even WoW remember how good it feels to get like that fucking Omega Bis item, or like to get something that's just build defining. You go from, like being able to just be able to do it to being able to do it without even looking at the screen, or being able to not even have a chance to being able to do it easily.
So that's how long it's been since he's played Diablo 3. The builds are relying around these certain items. So, I understand after looking for a good Halo Ocarina 10,000 times, you finally get one. I understand. I think they're trying to get away from that in Diablo 4 by letting you kind of craft the way that you want your build to be. And I think that's why we saw such a difference of opinion in these certain classes where some people actually built and understood how the build was going to go, and then some people just played it their own way and they didn't understand. I mean, I think that's how it was supposed to be designed, to be honest with you, is people that figured it out, you figured it out and you built it out. And I never had a 7,000, 15, 20,000 K rogue like everybody else did, but I did have a pretty good druid that not a lot of folks had.
And I remember in Diablo 3, like I would get like a ring or a pair of gloves. I think gloves were like one of the best ones that would have like, my main damage stat, critical strike damage, critical strike chance, and attack speed all on my fucking gloves. And it's like, oh my God, I am a god now. And I could feel my character play better. And I hope that Diablo 4 gives you that ability to do it, because I think that's one of the best things about ARPGs is to.
Bro, I'm sorry you didn't have that experience, man. Like, I kind of feel bad, but I actually felt my druid get better when I found more and more items. And I was able to kind of respec and get better and better and better. So I definitely felt that. Let me know in the comments if you felt that way. Um, Not necessarily with every tune, but I definitely felt it with my druid. And I know people felt it with their rogue for sure.
To feel your character getting more powerful and to feel those cool things that you're able to get. And I just really hope Diablo 4 is able to capture that in the context of it being a much more simplistic game. And you're getting so many uniques as like a level 25. I don't know if this is increased for the beta or not.
It was.
I worry that you're going to be playing the game, and within the first 10% of like the first day or two of playing the game, you will have obtained like 80 to 90% of the functionality of your build.
No.
And then after that, you're just searching for upgrades for that build.
So we've only played World Tier 2. There's World Tier 3, which the scaling is tremendous on for the difficulty. It is going to be like any other Diablo game where it does matter what items you have on. It was the same way in 2, same way in 3. It's going to be the same. It was the same way in 1. That's part of Diablo is your items. So that's definitely going to happen.
And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I could see that being kind of, it's like a one and done type situation. You play the game for a few days each season and then that's it. But I can't really see myself coming back and playing future seasons if the itemization isn't a little bit more complex. And
the itemization is complex. It's just not there. I think a lot of the thing that a lot of us are overlooking is there's going to be a lot more theory crafting available to us in this game than there's ever been before. And that's going to increase the overall playability, at least in my eyes and fellow theory crafters' eyes. Being able to play 5 characters thousands of different ways or hundreds of different ways, whatever, um, that's what's going to contribute to the playability. It's not necessarily like login. That's what it is in Diablo 3 right now. So he's talking about how great Diablo 3 is, but he's looking at it from the past. He's looking at it from a long time ago. Diablo 3 is, I guess, from the last couple seasons has been for a lot of folks, not for everybody, but for a lot of folks, and I've got the clan to prove it. I lose a lot of clan members that go inactive because they log on, they do the season journey to get their rewards, and then they go away. It's just the nature of the game, and we definitely don't want that to happen in Diablo 4. I agree with them 100%. But I think that we're just overlooking the simplicity because we've been playing the beta, is all it is. I think there's going to be plenty to bring us back, especially when the seasons and the battle pass and all this. I think there's going to be plenty to keep us occupied for years to come.
And I don't have a little bit more agency over controlling it. You're able to do a few things with the items, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, especially in season 5 of Diablo 4 or season 11 of Diablo 4. I don't really see myself coming back and enjoying that same type of itemization and build control. I just feel like it would be it's very much on rails. I like playing games where I can effectively play a character and make it so OP that it feels like I'm doing something that I shouldn't be able to. And I don't know if Diablo 4 is going to give you enough tools to be able to do that. So that's in general the way that.
But see, that's so confusing. I respect your opinion on that, but you're not even taking into account items are not the only thing that makes you powerful. We have a Paragon tree, we have a Codex of Power, and we have an additional character power that you get. So all three of those things combined with your items and the ability to make uniques and craft them, like there's plenty of ways to be OP, bro. I promise you.
That I feel about the itemization. It's not amazing. It's not awful, but it is what it is, I guess. So next thing is going to be like, again, I'll talk a little bit more about the open world content and the MMO nature of the game. I heard from a number of people that Diablo 4 really felt like much more of an MMO than an ARPG. And I think that, I mean, as somebody who's an MMO player, I think this is great. I'm very happy about this.
I would agree with that if we got to play with more than 4 people in a party. The only time it feels MMO in nature to me is when you're in town. That's it. And when you have a world boss, and that's only 12 people. If they give you more people in a party, then hell yeah, and I'm down for it to be MMO. But until it's an actual MMO, I don't want to call it an MMO because it's not massively multiplayer. 4 people in a party is not massively multiplayer. 150 people in a clan is not massively multiplayer. It's limited multiplayer. Just because it's open world doesn't necessarily mean it's massively multiplayer online now. I would love to be able to play with a lot of people and see what the game could actually do then. You know, if you could run with 12 people at all times, that would be so freaking kick ass. And I would love that. But that's not the reality of the game. So technically, to me, it's not an MMO until we have that ability to do that.
And I went through and I played Diablo 4. I interacted with other players. It was seamless. They were never annoying. They never made my experience worse. And overall, I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And I like the idea of going into town and seeing other players. And, you know, I hate to say it, but Diablo Immortal did this too. And the truth is that it was really fun in Diablo.
I didn't play Immortal, so I don't know.
So I'm really glad to see them add that same functionality into Diablo 4. And
the interacting that he's talking about is you can wave to him, do an emote, just like you could in any Diablo game. I guess you actually physically, the difference is you physically wave and do stuff now. You can inspect their gear, and which you could do in Diablo 3, and trade with them, which you could do in Diablo 2. So it's really not that interactive with your people, besides emotes and stuff. We could see that change, but as of right now, that's it. You can whisper to them. You can't even on the emote wheel whisper to them, which is kind of frustrating.
and make the game feel a little bit more open and allow you to interact with other people. You can, I think, inspect them, look at their gear, which is, I think, super important in the RPG.
Yeah.
And I think overall, the open world aspects of the game, the world boss and everything, I think it's really cool, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
I can see
100%.
people that were purists of the game wouldn't have the same opinion, but for me, I think it's fucking great. So anyway, that's some of the main feelings that I have about Diablo. Diablo 4, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'd really want to go through.
Can you actually be a purist and embrace evolution of the game? So that's a question, a serious question I have for everybody. Can you be a Diablo purist and embrace change in the game? So it's something I've been thinking about. I like to consider myself a purist, but at the same time, I like to see certain changes. It's like a delicate dance that you have. Because I feel like if you're a purist, you wouldn't ever want to play anything else. That's the only thing you'd want to play. But if you were just like a fan of the series, I don't know. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. That's a good kind of conversation starter. Is what defines a Diablo purist?
Obviously, like a lot of intangibles, things like graphics, things like the menus, etc. I think all that stuff is fine.
That's
There's
fine.
nothing
Yeah, I had
really
no
bad
problem.
about it. It's good. It's definitely passable. There are a lot of people that have been negative about Diablo 4 because, it doesn't make them feel the same way that Diablo 3 or
So
Diablo
much
2 did.
damn
I think
negativity.
that in a lot of cases, that's probably a product of its time, and I'm not necessarily.
So Diablo 2, I'll never forget the day that I discovered Diablo 2. It was my next door neighbor's house. We was in his basement. It was 2001. I walked in his basement. He was on his computer, and I walked up behind him and seen he was playing a barbarian in Act One. He was at Charcy, and he was buying some items, and I was immediately hooked. Like, what in the fuck is this game? And I was, my love affair started then. I had a clan in Diablo 2. I had every character at level 95 plus, and we're talking old school patches, like before they really took a hurting on the game, talking like 1.17, 1.18, back when you could just go into cow level and get leveled real quick, by a 99 doing power levels, and when you have mule characters everywhere. I had a feeling then. And then Diablo 3 came out, and I pre-ordered Diablo 3. I built a PC to handle it, so we actually went to Micro Center. It was me, my cousin, and my best friend. We went to Micro Center. We all three bought brand new PCs. We went to GameStop, picked up our pre-orders. Then we went to my house to the basement. We all three built our PCs, and we set them up like damn South Park World of Warcraft, and we played the launch of Diablo 3. The beta, playing the beta of this, gave me the same kind of feeling, or if not more, than those experiences did. Yeah, just killing a damn deer when I walked out of town, or when the bear attacked me, is little things like that, where you could actually get knocked over in the game, and like that's those little details make a damn game for me. Because yeah, it's still a Diablo game, but it's adding extra shit into there. And I was so excited about it, it made other people that weren't going to play the beta. So I definitely got that feeling, but I'm a Diablo series fan. I always loved the game. I try to be positive about it, except for season 28 Diablo 3. Um, I'm just a fan of the series, so I still got that feeling. I had a blast. I don't know how I'm gonna wait, 58 more days or however long it is till the game comes out. So I definitely got that feeling. I know he didn't get the feeling. Well, a lot of people didn't, and a lot of people did.
Necessarily sure that you can have any game that'll make you feel that way again. But if you do find one, please let me know too.
Yeah, it's called Diablo 4.
Again, Diablo 4 didn't really do that for me either, which is why it's not some sort of like a 10. Again, this is not Elden Ring, okay? It's not the, greatest level of innovation in ARPGs since Path of Exile. But it's a good solid game. It seems fun, and it seems like Diablo isn't really trying to compete as much with Path of Exile. They're trying to broaden the scope of what the ARPG genre is and appeal to a more casual gamer and a person that wants to be able to go into the game, understand it, and play it without using a bunch of different spreadsheets and looking things up online at least too much.
I think we're diving in a little too deep. It's just time for the next game. There's 10 years it's been patterned. I've done videos on it before, and go check those out. It's 10 years between game launches. So I think it's just time for the next Diablo 4 series, and they're presenting us with the product. I don't necessarily think they could. I could be wrong, but I just don't see them sitting around looking at all these other games to draw inspiration from. And they could. I could very well be wrong. But I think they just get their team together and they put out the product, and here it is. And what I've seen so far in the beta, in the game, is there's a lot of influence from previous Diablo games, especially 2. So, um, I don't think they're trying to redefine the genre or anything. I think they're just trying to put out a modern, fun, engaging Diablo 4 product. And yeah, it has its wish list just like any other game that we wish. Like I could put out a scroll of stuff that I wish would be in the game, but it's just not logical because it's just not gonna happen. But yeah,
Until they get to the Paragon board, that is. So overall, My feelings on the game are overwhelmingly positive. I'm very happy about it. I think that I'm reserving judgment for a lot of different things like end game systems, etc. But my main concern with the end game is actually very similar to my concern with the itemization, which is why would I want to play Diablo 4 Season 6 just to go and run the same dungeons again and again and again? Because Path of Exile has such a great like a great tiering of their progression content. You know, you've got maps, you've got like I don't know, you've got the boss maps, you've got other bosses, you've got Shaper, Elder, Uber Elder.
Okay. You've got world boss, you've got world events, you've got nightmare sigils, you've got nightmare dungeons, you've got strongholds that turn into towns or different dungeons. You've got hellfire, which we have no idea what that's going to be about yet. So while you're struggling to come up with different things, I fired off some different things right there. So don't have any concerns. We got World Tier 3 we haven't unlocked yet. Like, I have no concerns. I appreciate his overwhelmingly positive attitude towards the game. Besides, some things that he experienced himself. But I don't think we're going to have any kind of problem with the end game. If it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. But it's very hard to compare a Diablo game. If you're looking at it through Path of Exile lens, it's not going to match up to what you expect it to be because your expectation is setting that.
Sirius, the Conquerors, the Elder Guardians, the Shaper Guardians, like, and there's the Exarch and the Eater of Worlds, and there's all these different like benchmarks, Cortex. There's all these benchmarks that a player can put themselves up against and then try to overcome this challenge. And I'm very concerned that Diablo 4 won't have that, and the end game won't feel as fulfilling as the Path of Exile end game does. That's my biggest actual concern with the game, is that the Diablo 3 end game, I played a few seasons in Diablo 3, even in Reaper of Souls. It's fucking boring. All you do is run rifts.
Yeah. You should play season 28, bro. oh, God.
It's like, imagine in PoE, if the only thing that you could do is run tier... Well, you could just run infinitely tiered maps. So, like, instead of running a tier 15 or tier 16 map, you're running, like, a tier 27 map. And if you get hit once, you're dead, but you can kill everything in, like, 2 hits because you're built completely for damage. That's basically the way that Diablo 3 rifts work. I mean...
Well, not anymore. Now, you need support characters. So, you have 2 characters that don't deal any damage, and one of them's so damn boring that you can't even play. You're falling asleep. And hell, we used to have a guy in the clan that he would literally fall asleep playing support. So that shows you how much fun there is. And I know there's going to be people coming in saying, play 150, so la 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 la. Yeah, that's fucking boring, okay? I'm with him 100%. It's boring. I have to actually have a social aspect of it and talk and all that. Have fun, play music and add shit into the game where you could probably just need to play the game to have fun.
Not exactly, but you can see kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
Think about, there's no other activities. There's nothing else to do.
Exactly.
All you do is you just run rifts, and that's it.
Yep. So that's why I keep saying, remember all this extra stuff that they've added in order to counteract that. Let's not dilute that for all of your millions of viewers. There's, I'm not going to repeat them again, but there's multiple things to do in the end game besides just rifts. Thank God.
I find that to be so boring.
It is.
And that's my biggest concern with Diablo 4, is that the end game will just simply be boring. It will be repetitive, not fun, not innovative. There won't be benchmark bosses. There won't be capstone challenges. And I really hope that doesn't happen, because I really want to enjoy the game. I've had a lot of fun playing the beta. I'm probably going to go play it right now. But the truth is that level 25 beta doesn't really give you a lot of insight into the end game. And a game like Diablo, you're going to be through this type of content in like 2 or 3 days. So unless you only expect people to play the game 2 or 3 days, what do you do after that?
Of course they don't expect the people to play the game 2 or 3 days, bro. Like, you just answered the own thing. You just said, how much can you do 1 to 25? That's it. You're going to do 1 to 25. You couldn't do anything in any other game from 1 to 25. Diablo 2, 1 to 25 was pull your damn teeth out with a set of pliers. So let's see what happens.
That's what really matters. So we'll just have to wait and see what that actually looks like. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching.
Thank you, Asmon. Thank you for letting me see what you was talking about. I'm pleasantly surprised that you this is actually very fair, and he didn't tear it apart for little teeny tiny things that are not relevant. This was a very fair, honest review. I agree with majority of it. The only thing that we got to be careful about is influencing a mass amount of people that it's going to be mediocre when we've just nipped the surface of it. But anyway, we'll see who I've got to do next. If you like my content, hit like, hit subscribe. If you want to be a Patreon like my badass Patreons, Eros and Ava and the Andes, thank y'all so much. Links in the description to do that. And like I said earlier, if you need a Discord to run with, links in the description for the House of Hawg. That's my Discord server. We're going to continue to pump out Diablo 4 content. I am your Southern Diablo 4 resource. Remember that. And we'll see you next time.